looks like 6:32. Can I get a roll call, Miss Brenda?
Ms. Enlow?
Here.
Mr. Whitaker?
Yep, here.
Ms. Mendez?
Here.
Ms. Portman?
Here.
Mr. Hibbard?
Here.
Ms. Mangus?
All right. I do want to, we are actually going to, in our business today, we are actually going to table the pay scales and the job descriptions till next meeting. Would that be okay with the group? And can I get a motion to do that?
Motion.
By Bonnie,
Second.
first, second with Faith. And what we'll do is we're gonna come back, a lot of questions about some things, pretty extensive on what we have here, but I do wanna make sure that, I'll make some time with each of you guys. If you guys wanna schedule some time, like to come in, let's go over some things. I know it's pretty extensive. I know I have my mission, I wanted it yesterday, but I do think that they brought up some good questions. So council, like I said, I want you to know that I do wanna work with you on that. We wanna finish that up. So for everybody here, let's spend some time here, next couple of weeks, let's see if we can get some questions, okay? All right, with that,
We want to have
Oh,
a special meeting for
I've got,
this?
We can.
what do you all think?
I think we,
I would like to have one.
yeah,
What
I
special
think we
meeting?
might get it worked out faster that way if we all meet, we get all our questions at one time and.
Right, right, but we'll still make some time. I still wanna make time
Right.
individually and go over that. Let's make some scheduled time, but let's do, what's good for everybody though.
And I know I told you I wasn't crazy about special meetings, because I think that drags it out and drags it out.
Yeah, no,
But I want to get this voted for. and
We need to keep it
get
to one special meeting and
Yep.
get it done and over.
All right,
Yep.
I'm very
I agree.
happy with that. All right, so what schedule looks good on that?
Okay.
Oh, I need, first of all, I'm sorry, let's get a roll call motion on the tabling it to our special meeting. Let's get that part done first. Do it. Roll
Ms.
call.
Mangus?
Yes.
We're not tabling it to the special meeting.
I'm sorry,
we're
tabling it. I mean,
To
we're
the
gonna-
next meeting.
The next meeting.
We can't confuse Brenda.
I'm sorry. I did say that wrong. I apologize.
That's all right.
Next meeting. Okay. Ms. Mendez?
Yes.
Ms. Faith?
Yes.
Ms. Bonnie?
Yes.
Mr. Hibbard?
Yes.
And Mr. Whitaker?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're very welcome, very welcome. And I've heard from a little bit of each of you, and I want you to respect your opinion about that, okay? Like I said,
Thank
I
you.
know how I feel about it, but I told you one of the things we're gonna do is we're gonna work together. This
That's
is
right.
7, not 1, okay? So I want you all to know that, okay? Looks
I-
good, looks good.
Do you want to set the special meeting now?
Yeah, I was thinking, let's get that knocked out.
Do y'all want to do it this week or next week?
I'm pretty open this week.
I'm open.
Not tomorrow, though, I got a hot date.
Every day but Wednesday.
I can't do Friday. I'm a dad's.
All right,
Thursday, Friday.
Thursday.
Thursday?
I actually have a mayor's meeting that I gotta go to.
Oh, well then let's do next week.
Let's do next week, but let's look at what's good next week. Can we do next Monday?
Yeah.
No, that's a holiday.
It is? It is?
Good, nobody will interrupt us.
What holiday is it?
It's President's Day.
All right, no, it's not. All right, so what do we,
We can do it.
We
I'm
can do
kidding.
President's
All
Day.
right, all right.
Oh, my
Okay.
goodness.
all right. Bonnie overruled, Bonnie
Our
overruled
employees
Faith.
are off that day though, so Brenda would have to work.
I could come in. For the meeting.
She doesn't have to come to
She
the
doesn't
special
have
meeting, does
to.
she?
Oh.
Bring it up.
Somebody,
She doesn't have to come.
All right, let's do that. Let's do it next Monday. So our special meeting will be,
Is everybody off work that day?
No.
Well, dang on you people. Get a real job.
all right. All right, so 6:30 next Monday, our special meeting.
I'm gonna bring my Nerf gun
All right.
to
So
council
let's,
meetings.
I'll bring a water gun home.
we're gonna try to keep
Okay,
this from
6:30.
nonviolent situations here.
Hey,
6:30,
we'll do
Mayor.
Right, 6:30? Yeah, let's do that. And then, hey, if you guys, if we could do this week, if you guys have some time, call me. Let's see if we, I mean, I'll be glad to try to, and, we'll try to get you some answers on things that'll help you make a better decision about this. I think you guys are most agreement about some things. I know I'm talking to each one of you. You guys seem like you have some questions, so we'll get you taken care of on that. All right, so we got that set up.
Thank you.
you all for that.
And we're doing it at 6:30?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep. So you got called Miss Mendez. They got called by their first name. I'm not sure what that meant, Jennifer. All right. All right, I do want to read, so one of the individuals that's actually in this job description, I wanted to read this letter. Miss Courtney Burton couldn't be here today, but on your agenda, you'll see that there's a letter from her. And she wanted to make sure, because she's one of the individuals involved in a part of our job descriptions and what we're doing here. Dear Mayor, City Council members, and City of Shepherdsville, good evening. First of all, I apologize that I'm not there. Please accept this letter as a token of my commitment to the economic development of the city of Shepherdsville. As I reflect on the importance and time sensitivity of the downtown and city park projects, I want to offer a bit of the amount of time and energy I've donated thus far. One of the focal points of the economic development position is to cultivate relationships with our downtown businesses, property owners. As we engage with our downtown community, we are actually including these businesses and property owners into key pieces of the project. One example is to offer our local businesses to sponsor each of the new beautiful lampposts being installed on both sides of South Buckman Street. These lampposts will literally light up downtown Shepherdsville. We are offering downtown community a chance to partner with the city and sponsor lampposts, which they actually are valued at $5,000. With a donation of $5,000 to the city of Shepherdsville, the business solidifies a financial commitment to our project. In return, the city proudly displays a plate at the base of the lamp identifying the sponsor's name on the plate. As an example, the city block is proudly lit up, example business here 2023. Considering we have 12 lampposts being installed downtown, it is my goal to collect $60,000 in sponsorship and donations for this piece of the project. I'm proud to report I have verbal commitments of 4 lamppost sponsors of $20,000 in donations. I have another 3 potential sponsors waiting on approval from committee or a board totaling $15,000. And what I'm getting at, what she's saying here, is before even starting with us, she's making the commitment to start working on getting investments on things that we're gonna need. One simple thing to think about, as we discussed in our last meeting about the park, we're looking to put special needs playground equipment in there. That's not included. We're having actually donations actually given to us for that. There are other donations we have already got and commitments to. I just think that Courtney wanted to show you again, just one more time, and she's not the only one. We have Amber out here in the crowd tonight. We just want you to know we're bringing on good people to do good things, because it takes a team to do what we're trying to do. And I think she just wanted to say that because she knew she wouldn't be here. But again, like everybody else, I think we all want to see the city do a whole lot better. So I just wanted you to hear that letter. I do have a couple of updates before we start with Chris Steelwell that I did not add, and I apologize for this. I just want to give you an update on our basketball. We had the second Saturday, and I don't think Amanda's here tonight, but I want to tell you, Amanda and all the volunteers, we had 100 kids Saturday, 45 in the first flight and 55 in the second flight. And we have extended it from 6 weeks to 10 weeks now for these kids. And this is no charge for all the kids that want to come out and be involved in this. We're actually working on our signups for our t-ball, baseball, and softball at this time. The fields are being worked at as we speak. Okay? We've got a relationship with the school board to utilize those fields. So we have signups here. So again, our commitment is to have youth sports here. So we're getting our basketball started, and then we're getting our baseball started. But in the fall, we will actually have teams and basketball leagues at no charge to the kids of Shepherdsville. We've been able to work that out through donations and the utilizing of this gym back here. So I do appreciate the people that have been involved. Lane, appreciate the fire being there, and Chief Smith, I appreciate you having some of your folks there as well. So we're coming along with all that. We have the ethics board going, and we've been working our third selection on the code enforcement, and I'll leave it at that till we get further down. Is there a Chris Steelwell here? Chris, come on up.
Yes,
Yep.
right there.
I'm new with this.
So am I.
First off, I want to thank you guys for letting me come out here and at least talk about this. But I've been wanting to get together a car cruise in, kind of a car show environment with no judges, no categories, nothing, just a local place where we could all kind of meet, hang out, talk, network, go from there. And I would like to see if it were possible to use the farmer's market parking lot there at the 170 Joe B. Hall. And the first Friday of every month from 5:30 to 8:30, 9 o'clock. And it's not more of a community thing where people can just come out, walk around. I don't know if anyone's been to the ones in Mount Washington, Fern Creek. I've talked to so many people at those locations that are all from Shepherdsville, and everyone's like, man, I would love to do this here instead of driving 45 minutes and then, plus you're out there, you're going out to eat afterwards out there. I would love to do all this in my town. You know, born, raised here, 37 years, and I would love to see something happen that would involve my people. But really, I think with social media and getting it promoted and getting out there, we would have amazing feedback. I made one post on the All About Shepherdsville page, and it was just nonstop people. We would love to see this happen. So that's kind of what I'm here asking to see if we can do.
Well, the answer is yes, okay, because one thing when Faith and I talked about this, I know we talked about having food trucks and food trucks and
Yeah,
anything like that.
I've had a couple. Once I made that post, I think I had 3 different food trucks reach out, and they were like, "Let us know as soon as you can get on schedule with this, so we can clear ours." Or some of them said they wouldn't be able to make it to everyone, but they would
Sure.
absolutely try to get to as many as they could.
Well, a lot of things, while we're developing all the rest of the city and doing the things we're doing with the aquatic center and the park and the renovation of downtown, we still want to have activities here. We've got the youth sports things going. I want to have more activities, and you're right. I'd rather you spend your money here at the
Absolutely.
car show. So I think
I'd
there's a
rather
lot of good
not
opportunity.
drive further.
Absolutely,
Right,
absolutely,
right.
absolutely. So Faith, I told Faith I was really excited to hear you come and talk to us a little bit today. I think this is what it's about, doing community things, and we're gonna try to do everything we can at any time, so. Does
mean,
anybody
it's-
up here have any questions for Chris, or? I thought it was
No,
just great to
sounds
get.
great.
Yep.
He's
think it's great.
He's also told me, I'm sorry.
Oh, no,
Darren.
go ahead, you're fine.
He also told me that he would make sure that the parking lot's clean.
Yep.
Yeah, I've
Because
got
farmer's market's the next day. You
Large
talk to
Yeah,
Tom.
she might get mad at you.
Right.
And Amber might get mad
Yeah.
at
They definitely let me know.
you. No, they will have to.
No, it's I've got a large group of friends that are big. I mean, car guys hang out with car guys. It's kind of
Yep.
what we do. And they've all been very on board. Like, we'll come, we'll help people park, help people guide through. Because I mean, it'll get busy, but help clean up, help set up, and I think we can make it work.
So my question to you is, when would you like to start? I know we didn't really talk about it.
No, we didn't talk about
I
that.
think the first one I had mentioned was
Maybe we
the
did talk.
first Friday in May.
Okay.
I think it would be a good, because that would also be Oaks Day.
Yep.
So it might not be as big of a turnout as it could be, but it'd be a really good filler
Yeah,
to
okay.
see how it goes.
So would you just get with Faith and Amber and just make sure, get all the details worked out, but we're excited to get started with you.
Absolutely, sounds great.
Hey, thank you for
Thank
coming out
you.
today. I really
Okay.
appreciate you being involved with the community.
Awesome. I
Really do.
look forward to it.
Hey, thank you very
That's
much, Chris.
Amber back there. I
Yep.
don't know if she has any questions for you, but
Yep.
thank you.
All right. Hey, thank you, Chris. We're looking forward to working with you. All right, we're good with that. All right, so now we need approval for the minutes. We'll start with the January 9th. Hope you guys, seems like you guys
I
get,
read
yeah, a lot of information, but,
Make a
can I get a motion?
Motion.
Motion by
Second.
Bonnie, second by Faith. I'm sorry, you did it quickly, I mean. All right, roll call on the approving the minutes, please.
Okay, Mr. Hibbert,
Yes.
Ms. Mendez,
Yes.
Ms. Portman,
Yes.
Ms. Enlow,
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker,
Yes.
Ms. Magus.
Yes.
We're good on that, all right. All right, now for the regular meeting on the 23rd, I need a motion, please.
I make a motion.
All right, we have one from Paula, second.
Second.
All right, by Ms. Jennifer. All right, roll call, please.
All right, Mr. Whitaker,
Yes.
Ms. Enlow,
Abstain, I was not here.
Ms. Magus,
Yes.
Mr. Hibbert,
Yes.
Ms. Portman,
Yes.
Ms. Mendez.
Yes.
All right. So we're actually, again, if you look at your agenda, we're gonna pass that up. And we are going to go to the appointment of Larry Thompson. Larry Thompson's here, I saw. It should have been,
I think,
oh, we have to, do we do them each?
I don't know. Do we need to do them each, or do we need to table all of them at one time?
Didn't specify.
So- The first 3 are repealing previous prior amendments. And then the 5th one is actually nothing about the pay scale. This is amending the ordinance related to
Yeah.
city attorney.
That one we need to read.
So we can, if you wanna table, the repeal, you can. That's,
It would probably be easier if we did them all at one time.
Absolutely, I agree. Let's just do them all at the same time. So we'll do the
All of them
repealing.
concur.
Yep.
So that would be 019299.
So the ordinances that I would not be reading tonight for the second one would be 023-001, all the way through 023-004.
Okay.
All right, so we do want to have the second reading on the city attorney position.
Correct.
Yes.
Right,
Yes.
right, we're ready to go on that one.
Okay, summary of ordinance 023-005, an ordinance amending section 32.16 of the City of Shepherdsville Code of Ordinances related to city attorney legal counsel. This ordinance sets forth that section 32.16 of the City of Shepherdsville Code of Ordinances is amended to reflect that the city attorney is an independent contractor and not an employee or officer of the city.
So were there any other further questions? We talked about that, we were at KLC together. I think they obviously advised us that that was probably the appropriate way that you want to do it, because it's kind of a conflict of interest if she's on payroll. All right,
Right.
any questions there? Everybody's good? All right, I need a motion to accept this ordinance, please.
Motion.
All right, I'll take Faith on that in a second.
second.
Second, Jennifer, all right. All right, roll call, please. All right, I'm rushing you because this is when
Jennifer
you,
Mendez?
Jennifer's the second.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right,
Faith Portman?
Yes.
Bonnie Enlow?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Yes. Mike Hibbert?
Yes.
And Paula Megas?
Yes.
Okay.
all right. So our new business is the appointment of Larry Thompson to the Code Enforcement Board, and Mr. Larry is right here for our third and final member for our Code Enforcement Board. And what I want to do is, I don't know if you guys have any questions for him. You want to introduce yourself, Larry, to everybody here? I don't know if they may know you. They know Dolores because she always does all the kind of fun things around here.
She did this.
And so she does cool stuff. I don't know if you guys might have had any questions. We had them on the agenda. That fills our third position on the Code Enforcement. If you don't have any questions, I would like a motion.
Motion.
All right, Faith is the first. I need a second,
I
please.
second.
All right, second with Ms. Paula. All right, roll call, Ms. Brenda.
Ms. Portman?
Yes.
Mr. Hibbert?
Yes.
Mr. Brad?
Yes.
Ms. Megas?
Yes.
Ms. Enlow?
Yes.
Ms. Mendez?
Yes.
All right, six carry that. All right, hey, congratulations. Now you're ours.
Good luck.
We just voted for him. He's ours now. All right, thank you all on that. All right, so we'll have our city attorney here to read the first reading on ordinance 023-006.
An ordinance amending the Bullock County City zoning order and the Bullock County City zoning map as amended, changing the zoning of 5.54 acres, more or less, located at Charles Hamilton Way in the city of Shepherdsville, Bullock County, Kentucky, also known as parcel 037-000-00-014AA, from agricultural to light industrial. Summary, rezones approximately 5.54 acres located at Charles Hamilton Way in the city of Shepherdsville, Bullock County, Kentucky, from agricultural to light industrial with restrictions, and provides for repeal of inconsistent laws, severability of provisions, and an effective date upon passage and publication.
So I know Arthur's, you're putting that on the screen, is that correct? All right, doing that. But I know we have Clinton here, and we have John. John, would you like to come up? Now, I know you just got this information, and I know that I've talked to Clinton once, and I know that they, oh. You
Just a
wanna-
point of order.
Oh, no worries.
This is not to be resolved tonight.
Yep.
I'm okay with that, they have those two separate.
Yeah, we have two separate readings, John.
Yeah, there's two separate readings. The testimony we give will be just on both of them
No
to
worries.
summarize,
No worries.
make it easier for you.
Yeah, no worries. They just had it set up that way, John, when we got them. So
Right.
we can either read the second one as well, and then we can ask, I've got a couple questions, but I just wanna make sure. So, you want us to do that? Just read the
Makes
second?
no difference. If we can hear the testimony on this, it's gonna be the same on the
Hey,
second.
that's what I was gonna say. So we'll go ahead and read the second one as well.
Is that a 7?
It is. It is.
6320 Preston. Ordinance 3-007, an ordinance amending the Bullock County City zoning order and the Bullock County City zoning map as amended, changing the zoning of .517 acres more or less, located at 632 Old Preston Highway South in the city of Shepherdsville, Bullock County, Kentucky, also known as parcel 037-000-00-015 from agricultural to light industrial. This ordinance rezones approximately .517 acres located at 632 Oak Preston Highway South in the city of Shepherdsville, Kentucky, from agricultural to light industrial with restrictions. It provides for the repeal of inconsistent laws, severability of provisions, and an effective date upon passage and publication.
For the record, John Woolbridge, my address, P.O. Box 670, Shepherdsville, Kentucky. I represent the estate of Betty Lorraine Howlett. This young lady is Melanie Mitchell. She is the administratrix with Will and X. So she has the legal ability to sign the paperwork. We presented this case before the Bullock County Zoning Commission, which gave a favorable recommendation. Both parcels lie within the boundaries of an area that on the comprehensive plan, which the Shepherdsville is part of, is zoned or slated to be utilized as commercial, light industrial. Property basically is on Charles Hamilton Way, which is going to be the primary entrance to the property. Mr. Kenneth Klein is the person who is wanting to purchase this property. He has a contract. Mr. Klein owns a small trucking company and has approximately 25 trucks. Our testimony at the hearing, we would readopt. It should be in your record to make this a little bit easier for the understand. There were some questions that came up. One of the points that we agreed to, and we would still agree to obviously, is that the roads that border this property, South Hickory, Hackberry, and Cedar, would be terminated and barricaded off so that there would be no traffic coming from this site onto those roads that would exit across those small streets. There will be two entrances. Primary will be off of Charles Hamilton. Secondary will be off of Old Preston Highway. Both are state highways. We also agreed that any place along the boundaries between the residential and the site B zone will remain as vegetated as possible. There are setbacks. The building, there will be one building on the site, probably 60 by 140. Therefore, it will basically be running east-west or north-south, probably.
We located right here.
Okay, it's going to be close to the Charles Hamilton. Part of the agreement, and it's in the record, they will have a hard surface on the parking areas and the streets that are built or the entryway so that we can keep the dust down to the very minimum. Also, any lights that are placed on the property will be directed inward, so not to diffuse light onto the surrounding properties. This property is in the city, has all the utilities, sewer, water, electric are there. It is adjacent to the highway department garage, is one property away from the industrial site that is and I cannot think of them, I should, they're the machine shop's been there forever. They have two sites. American Legion property on the other side of the road, north. All this property on this particular road is geared toward commercial industrial. The new 480 was built because of the problem going under that underpass on the old 61. So that should not be an issue here. This is not going to have a truck terminal. It will not have trucks coming in, unloading freight. Mr. Klein will address that, but primarily his trucks will be parked there. They will exit. Some of his trucks are gone for 2 to 3 days. So the traffic is minimal. All the people that are there are his employees, so they know the surroundings. They know where they're going. They know where they're going. Mr. Klein, if you would, please address the city, give them an overview of what you intend to do, please.
So like John said, we wanted to purchase this property, build one building for the offices and to work on the trucks. The rest of the property would be for parking the trucks when they're not out making deliveries. Several of our trucks, when they leave, they're only gonna come and go twice a week. Those guys drive to Canada, and that's not even putting traffic on the road every day. The other ones, it's not a warehouse facility where they're coming in here all day long to get loaded and unloaded. They're gonna come in the morning, get their keys, get their paperwork, they go out, they check, make sure their truck's safe, and they leave for the day to deliver things, come back at the end of the day. We did agree to the directional lighting, terminate all the city streets, South Hickory, Hackberry, and Cedar, so that there was no traffic, truck traffic coming through those. That'll also negate any truck traffic on 480C. It's a tough road to take a big truck on, and we have, Charles Hamilton was built for the big trucks. And we're right across from the highway garage, and we're basically just wanting to do the same thing the government's doing right across the road, park big trucks there. So do y'all have any questions of me?
You
I
want-
do.
I do, but I mean, does everybody know the area we're talking about? Everybody's good with that? The only reason why I ask that, because I know in our conversation, and John, you mentioned vegetation on the fencing.
Pardon?
That, and we talked about that. I really do think that, I'm not sure if there's anybody here that lives around that area that would like to speak up, but one of the things that we mentioned was maybe looking at a fence for that. You know, I mean, we're talking about, you mentioned dust and things like that. I mean, dust is gonna get above it, but I do think that was one of the concerns, and then at South Preston that we talked about. We talked about those two concerns, and you mentioned about blocking it off so that, which way are you gonna come out? You're gonna come out,
The trucks are, you know, Charles Hamilton's the primary entrance. We don't wanna box ourselves into a corner and close 61 off, but there's no reason for us to go out the backside of the property and go around the long way to the interstate. We don't have any shippers or receivers, even in Bullitt County.
all these 53s,
What was that?
the length of the truck's 53,
53s, 48s, and then we have three straight trucks.
24, 26, I think.
Do you have local deliveries?
We have no shippers or receivers in the county.
All right. So I think it's a point for the city to understand, you do not bring or intend to bring any type of hazmat materials onto this site?
No, sir.
And be parked there?
No.
All right. Ms. Mitchell, if you would, you are the administratrix of the estate,
Correct.
and you are wishing to sell both these parcels to Mr. Clapp?
Yes.
And if you do so, will you still have other properties of the estate, or will that close the estate out?
Part of my family is buying 3 lots that will be at the end of Cedar Street, which would be on the, the northern
480C.
edge of his property.
For the most part, then, when you do this, that will
That will be
eliminate,
the most of
and
it,
you'll be
yes.
able to close the estate out?
Yes.
All right. That would be all we present. We'll answer any questions if the city council has them at this point.
I do.
I do.
Is any part of that property in the flood zone?
All of it.
All of it?
All of it.
So you're gonna have to build property up in order to put that building in there, correct? And are you going to have the engineer, whoever's engineering this, to make sure that you have plenty of space to do stormwater wash off in the parking lot?
I was led to believe that the construction outfit and myself would have to work with the city engineer, to make sure everything's compliant.
Okay,
Yeah, the city does have their own standards. They have the drainage that they'll have to review. The parking lot probably will not be built as high as the building because it is a parking lot and it is in the flood zone. It's probably not more than a foot or so deep into the flood zone where the building will be. So we're not looking at a massive amount of fill
Okay.
to get the building up there.
Yeah, and this is obviously a smaller type of operation here, but the biggest thing that we find is that water runoff, your greenscape, your impact on traffic, and then really what you do to the roads. And in your case, it's obviously a smaller scale, so I mean, that's not the same concerns we would have, some other conversations we have, but I think the key for that area is I don't think the traffic is gonna be an issue there. And your trucks go out early?
Most of them, there's a peak and then leave them early. We have activity throughout the day, but most of it is 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Probably the biggest block of drivers is between 6 and 8.
I believe it's also, it was brought out that the trucks really are, most of the trucks are newer trucks. They're not sitting there idling for hours at a time. They will idle for a little bit before they leave. About the only time you'll see weekend activity, I believe, according to Mr. Klein, is if somebody is coming in from a long run and they will bring the truck in at that time. Other than that, it's usually a Monday through Friday operation.
Correct.
John, we can get a hold of you, or Pitt and I've got your number, if we have any other questions for you guys. If you do have any questions, we'll reach out to them. We want to make sure, we've got a second reading at our next meeting for you guys.
I
We
have a
wanna make sure-
concern.
What's that?
I have a concern.
Yep.
My only concern is like right now, it's agricultural. And if it changes to light industrial, and just say, just hypothetically, that he can't stay open, he goes bankrupt or whatever, that's already, then it's zoned as light industrial. That, what happens, somebody else comes in, maybe a chemical company, and they set up there, you know? And so, you know, I don't like that, and I don't like all the traffic and stuff. I just don't think it's good for the city of Shepherdsville. That's just my concern. I have been out to the area several times. I was out there again today, and I stopped and talked to a gentleman. He was a neighbor, he was identical, right across the street from the sign and he was totally opposed. So I just have some concerns. I just don't think, you know, it's the best for the community. But, and I love truckers. I mean, I have nothing against truckers. I have immediate family that are truck drivers and friends, and we need truck drivers. I mean, we definitely need truck drivers, but I just don't think this is the best fit for our city.
If the council wanted to put a restriction that before another use would be put on the site, that they would come back before the board, Mr. Klein would probably agree to that, because his intent is to locate his office there and be a part of this community for the next 20 or 30 years. He's not planning on building this to sell and move somewhere else. But if that would make the council more comfortable, that would be a condition that we could consider.
And worst case scenario, if I get this built and go broke, drop dead of a heart attack, whatever it may be, I-65 is, you know, people need trucks. You have to have trucks to live in the society we have. Everybody has medical needs, consumer needs, dietary needs, and trucks are bringing that stuff. And we're gonna have a truck facility 0.47 miles from one of the major arteries moving materials north and south in this nation. And once we build a truck lot there, it's gonna be a truck lot. You know, it's not gonna get repurposed. It wouldn't be financially wise to repurpose it for a chemical company or anything else down the road. Once there's a truck service building built there a half mile from I-65 with a straight shot on, I think you're looking at a truck company for eons.
Hope that answers your question.
Right.
Yeah, I guess, Mr. Conant, you and I talked on the phone, and I appreciate you reaching out to me. First of all, you said there was a finite, in the planning and zoning testimony, you said there was a finite number of trucks. How many trucks are you?
Well, it's 27 trucks.
You have 27,
Yeah.
but that's not finite. You could get bigger, right? Is that possible, or are you gonna keep it at
We grow
27?
slowly, but
Yeah, but that's
I
what
don't
I'm
have
saying,
any
though. It's,
ambition of growing to 500 trucks.
I know, I just wanna make
I
sure
just
that the
want a real
testimony
family
is.
You could do that.
Yeah.
You
6
know.
acres, I don't know if you could do all that.
Yeah,
And also, you're keeping a 4,000 gallon diesel fuel tank there?
correct.
Right, okay. Are you using that as a primary fueling station, or is it?
Yes.
Okay,
It's gonna be above ground.
right.
That's an above ground tank?
It is.
Yeah. Which means it's gotta be walled and double vented and all that.
It's a double wall above
Okay.
ground tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And then what's gonna determine how much of that vegetative border gets kept?
You know, I'm not a developer, this is a learning process
I
for
understand,
me.
yeah.
What was discussed at the county was filling in clearing to the tree line, the property line, leaving the existing big timber there, and then filling in with planted new vegetation to fill in the gaps where there wouldn't be a solid line of vegetation.
Yeah, I don't like to deal in theoreticals, you know, a lot of people just say, well, our intent is to do this, but then it never
Well,
pans out.
he is required by zoning regulations, anywhere that he touches a zone other than ag, such as all the R3, he has to build a visual barrier.
Right.
Which can be a 6-foot privacy fence, or it can be a berm with trees on top of it. But in this particular case, if you have vegetation, you want to leave the vegetation. And when he puts that building, he will have setbacks, so basically the vegetation will be in his rear yard. You didn't ask, but the truck open area will face toward the west. It will not face to Hickory and those trees. That will remain basically vegetation and green space from
Right.
this day forward.
Okay.
Also, one thing, there was some concern about the truck traffic. This is not
It's
like
like-
dump trucks
Yeah.
that are in and out, going up and down. This truck's basically leave in the morning, come back at night. That's it. They make one trip out, one trip in, and he has trucks that make one trip out and don't come back for several days. So the traffic impact on 480 is minimal on this particular site.
I just want you all to know, one of the things that you'll see is, this council is very sensitive to the fact that, you know, we've had a great, you're right, trucking, we're off the interstate 15 minutes from the airport, that's gonna be our lifestyle. But we've had such an imbalance of growth in the city, so we're more focused on residential and more retail. We obviously appreciate you wanna be part of Shepherdsville, we like the idea that you're part of Shepherdsville. I think for me, it's like everybody else here, we just wanna ask a few extra questions, we wanna do our due diligence, a lot of times we've rubber stamped some of these annexations or some of these zonings, and sometimes we really hadn't thought out it. So that's why I commend them for at least asking some questions and making sure, and just drive by it. I know Paula drove by it, but just drive by so you see it. But, you know, we've talked on the phone as well. The commitment is that we want good partners. The commitment is if you don't, obviously we have a code enforcement, we can help with everybody, and that's not a threat or anything. It's just the idea, we wanna make sure that everybody's doing those things to make sure that part of the neighborhood stays pretty much in good shape. And like I said, it's small scale. I told you I didn't have any major concerns. I was more looking at a fence versus the vegetation, but John, I do agree with you. We don't wanna take out vegetation like that if we don't have to.
Right. I would
So-
prefer the vegetation over the fence.
Me too.
Yeah, I don't think
Well,
it,
again, the only place we're really gonna have a fence for sure is at the end of those streets, because there's no trees, we've gotta kill the street and dead end it.
Yeah.
And there will be fences there, but for the most part, there won't be a solid board fence the entire length of this property. If you can screen it with the trees and the shrubs, that's the way to go. It's a buffer for sight, it's a buffer for sound, it's a buffer for pollution.
I did go and tour his plant,
Oh.
and I went up, I didn't tell him this, but I went up 2 different occasions and just watched the traffic coming in and out at different times of the day. Both times I went at a different time, and it really, I didn't see anybody pulling in and out, but I didn't get there at 6 o'clock in the morning, because I didn't get down then, but, you know.
she's retired, you know, she's
But
retired.
I did throughout the day, and I didn't see a lot of traffic, but the place was really nice. He had a garage, and it was soundproof. I mean, they were in there working on trucks, and I couldn't even hear it.
Yeah.
You know, so I was impressed by that,
Okay.
you know.
I appreciate the positive. Any other questions for anybody?
Yeah, the secondary entrance off Old 61, what determines when that gets used and how that gets used?
I mean, there's traffic snarls there a lot in that
Yeah.
area. I just don't wanna close it off where if there's a wreck out there in front of us that we're without options on getting in and out.
Sure.
So what's the turnout of that thing from your road? I'm not visualizing that right now, that turn from that, they're pulling on 61.
On the 61.
I mean, yeah, on the old.
It's a very, very wide entrance there now. The property,
'Cause I'm not-
Ms. Mitchell's dad was moving houses in and out of there,
Yeah.
so it's,
He had a mobile home place there for quite some time.
Okay.
So it is a very wide drive.
I appreciate you coming out tonight, and like I said, we'll have a second reading next week, or 2 weeks from now.
Would you be willing to put in there what Paula wanted, about,
Oh,
if you
mistaken.
decided to sell, that you would make sure that they had to come back to the council and let them
for a
reapprove it?
non-trucking use?
Yes,
I don't see a problem with that.
okay, all right, thank you.
Mr. Klein, I just have one more question. When I talked to you on the phone, I'd asked you, I found it unusual you wanted to put your facility there when there was other industrial property available. And what was your reasoning for that particular piece of property?
Well, it's a price point on that piece of property. It is not shaped to allow a big building. You know, there's 6 acres of ground there, but it's a long, narrow,
Right.
and it wouldn't allow for any size building that would be put on a 6-acre tract.
Yeah.
There's 5 acres for sale across the road from it, but it's a pretty rectangle, and you could put a big warehouse on it, or
Yeah.
apartment.
You'd actually told me that there was other property there that's actually probably more suitable and easier to develop than that one. It's just, right now, it's a price point, right?
Correct.
Basically, yeah. Okay.
I got a couple of questions since the last planning and zoning meeting, I've spoken with Ms. Mitchell, Mr. Klein, and 2 other citizens that were opposed to this. So I've listened to both sides. Did you say, Mr. Klein, as if I recall correctly, that there would only be one day during the week that one of your drivers would be laying over there?
I do have one driver, he makes 2 trips to Canada a week,
Mhm.
and when he gets back on Wednesday night, there's only about 10 or 11 hours before he departs, and he leaves about an hour away. So he does spend the night in his truck 1 night a week on Wednesday night. He drives a 2023 Freightliner with an auxiliary power unit on it. So you can barely hear his truck running from 50, 60 feet away with the big motor. But at night, he's running a little 1-liter auxiliary power
Yeah.
unit generator basically on the back of the truck, and you're not gonna be able to hear it at any distance.
So am I correct in saying that the only time that the rest of your fleet would be there would be over the weekend possibly?
Yeah, the whole fleet will be there
Over the
Saturday
weekend?
night.
Yeah, but the trucks will just be parked, the drivers will be
There
gone.
won't be anybody there.
Right,
no.
okay. And I talked to Miss Mitchell and I asked her if she had received any other offers, on this property. And, I forgot to ask, I think you said you had 2 or 3, but they all fell through. Had anybody expressed any interest in using the property for a residential development?
No, no, it was all business.
All business? Okay. And then I might have some questions if the opposition is here to speak
I
tonight.
do wanna
I
give
might
them
have
a
a
chance to
question
speak,
there.
and then we have, Jessica, and we have John here as well, so Jessica
Okay.
Chef and John Heffen. Want to give them an opportunity to,
Yeah.
speak. So, thank you all.
That's all.
Appreciate it, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
So, hey, John, I see you back there, would you like to, I mean, we are one of the speakers, but since we're on this topic, we'd like to invite you and Jessica Chef, would you guys step up here to the, one at a time, or both of you, just to state your address for me, John?
My personal address?
Yes, sir.
390 Cedar Creek Lane, Shepherdsville.
Yes, sir.
And I'm John Heffley, John Heffley Plumbing. I've been over there about, I guess going on about 17 years. I've run a plumbing business here for 33 here in the city of Shepherdsville. So I'm about, on the map, I'm about 50 yards from where they proposed that entrance at on Preston, South Preston. And that gives me some concern because I don't have a lot. I've got like 5 vans and a truck, you know, stuff like that. But I know some of the other businesses, like the other plumbing companies, Pacola, Scotty Pruitt down there, the trucking company. There's plenty of activity that goes on there. I don't know if it goes on at 6 a.m. like Faith said, or 6 p.m. But we get there about 8 o'clock or so, and I know that with the, I just don't see that road being a very strong presence for trucks going in and out on South Preston. I wouldn't be opposed to the Charles Hamilton because it's a much wider entrance. And I understand the gentleman's point about being blocked in, but when you come out, you're gonna be right there, right in the middle of the entrance to all of the other, 6th Avenue, all of the other places there where there are other citizens. I just don't see that that's a viable option, really. You'd have to really widen South Preston to get those vehicles in and out of there. I mean, I don't see a road when I go past there that's a strong entrance. It's just where Mr. Howlett had all that stuff. And now it looks like it's got a wide entrance, but there's not actually a road there. It's just an open lot. You can make it an entrance, but I don't see why we need to have an entrance on South Preston. But secondly, couldn't we somehow make a restriction for the number of vehicles that go in there, like cap this thing at 40 or something? Because I believe you had a valid point when you said how many more trucks can you get? I mean, because I could see this thing growing a little bit bigger. I mean, it depends on how you anchor it and how you put it in there, but geez, I mean, 5 acres is still 5 acres. That's plenty of space. That's a lot of space, really. And since the other gentleman said that there's property across the street, and I understand the price point, but still, next to the city garage or the county or state garage, there's all kinds of property on that side over there that would probably be more viable. And I get the price point thing, and I certainly don't want to hamper any kind of what I would call development in the city. But I just don't think it's a great option for us to sit there and try to make Preston an entry point one way or the other. I know that since the many years that I've been there, you can go down to the end of the street to Pacola Manufacturing. Every morning they've got a tractor trailer sitting there off the side, unloading and unloading metal. and you gotta go around that. And if we had these other trucks coming in and out like this gentleman proposes, I just don't see that would, I think that would be a choking point right there. So, it's kinda tough, and I think it would create some congestion there. I'm not so much concerned about the noise, but my guys go in and out at 8 o'clock. You know, and we're in and out, we're back in at the end of the day, about 5 o'clock or so we're probably gonna hit it too. But again, some of my concerns would also be on 65. It seems like every other week, we got some accident going on right there at exit 117 or exit 116, and everybody decides to go around the whole city right there in that entry point, and it just becomes a congestion point that's crazy. And I'm paying my guys windshield time to just sit there in traffic while we're trying to get around the city. And if we just make that the exit point too there on South Preston, now we got something else to deal with. Those are my concerns that I'd like to bring up. So I'll entertain any questions you have on my part.
Any questions? John, I appreciate that.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
Thank
Appreciate it
you.
very much. Ms. Jessica Schaff, come up here.
I'm Jessica Schaff. My husband, Dr. Ray Schaff, and I live at 758 Old Preston Highway South. Our farm, well, we no longer have the map, adjoins the entire Howlett property. And if you were looking at it, you know, there's several barns. We have horses, cows, numerous animals. It's truly still a farm. John brought forth some of the concerns that we have. And just for the record, we do own one of those pieces of property just mentioned across Charles Hamilton Way. Our farm was cut in half when that road was built. So it has become virtually unusable to us, and it is for sale, but we have also been very particular in turning down things that we don't want to live across from. I will also say that I invited Mr. Klein to come over a couple of weeks ago, walk the property line with me, and just address my concerns about what his operation would be like. He was very generous to do that. One of my concerns is I know that the residences on the other side have to have a barrier because they're residential, but I'm not sure if, because I'm agricultural, if there has to be a barrier or not. He said he'd like to keep the trees on that side too, but that's a concern. Another big concern of mine is that when Mr. Howlett decided to make the entrance from his property onto Charles Hamilton Way, they built, it was originally just a dip with a ditch, huge ditch, and they filled all of that in with a pretty small drain pipe. And ever since then, when it rains, you know, very much at all of the water backs up onto our property, up into my horse pastures and so forth. I'm not sure what more building up would involve as far as that goes. I'm pleased to hear that he would like to have his lighting minimal and directed at the building and try to keep the dust down, so forth. You know, I want to be a good neighbor if this goes through, but the traffic in front of my house, you know, this may not be something to bring up here, perhaps at a future meeting. A three-way stop there where 480C and Old Preston Highway South intersect instead of just this turn where people don't really know what to do and fly through there might be a good option. If these big trucks are gonna come through in front of my house all the time, I'd like to see a speed bump. It's just, I'm tired of diving into the ditch from, you know, trying to get my mail when there's dump trucks and everything else that aren't really appropriate for that. It doesn't sound like Mr. Klein wants to use the road that much for that. Again, this is an aside, maybe this is a whole nother problem that needs to be addressed to this road, you know, in the city limits. So I think those are, you know, my main concerns. If you can consider and address those, I appreciate it. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
I have a comment. I would feel confident, and Arthur, you can answer for this, but I feel confident that drainage ditch will come out and a larger one will go in, because that's not gonna support a road truck. So I think you'll see that that will change, and that should help take care of that flooding of your pasture land.
Okay, that would be an improvement.
Well, and one of the things too, when this development goes through, we really want to make sure that we're monitoring as it goes along. There's commitments, and nothing against Clinton or anybody else, but that's one of the things we've seen throughout the development of the city. Not a very good supervision along as the progress goes. Then when it comes to the end, I can show you all kinds of places in Shepherdsville where there's no monitoring of what was going on in the development. And again, this is one thing I hope the council, I think everybody knows the area. If you haven't been by there, drive it, so that we have a good decision we make about this. So I appreciate everybody's questions. Thank you very much.
Appreciate your time, and,
Thank you
we
very
want
much
to
for being here.
continue to
You
live
and John as
here
well.
and enjoy the property, so thank
All
you.
right, thank you very much,
Thank you.
appreciate it. All right, so we have that. This is, we have it, so, all right, we're gonna do this one. Yep. All right, so our next reading is for 023-008. Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, you know what? Are you the first one that signed up? All right, well, come on up. I am so sorry, Ms. Sharon. I just saw the two down here and I
My
apologize.
name is Sharon Saylor, and I live at 474 Cedar Grove Road, which is kind of at the intersection of Charles Hamilton and 480C. One of my major concerns, I had gone to planning and zoning. They gave me a copy of section 5.801, which addresses fencing. And it says where property lines separate in commercial and residential zones, that there must be a visual and mechanical barrier, a minimum of 6 feet. And it further states that it has to be an evergreen hedge with a 3-foot chain link fence in front of it, or a fence of non-deteriorating material, or a masonry wall. And those are the only stipulations. It doesn't say vegetation, or it can be any other material. It has to be one of those 3 items. In addition, where commercial property is located in a residential area, the front yard setback has to be 50 foot. But the side and rear yards are increased from 25 feet to 50 feet anytime commercial property abuts residential property. You also said something that you store 4,000 gallons of diesel fuel. Is that above ground, below ground? What kind of safety precautions are there if that were to catch fire or explode? If it's above ground, it says it has to be an enclosed fireproof vault, according to what's given to me by planning and zoning. You know, you can say there won't be any noise, but I live in front of Park 480, and I can tell you semis going in and out, even 1 or 2 at a time, will generate noise. When trucks back into trailers to hook on, there's a lot of noise. Light is an issue. Inside my house at night is like daylight. You could walk anywhere in my house at night and not have to turn on a light. I had to have plantation shutters installed on my bedroom windows at a cost of $3,000 in order to sleep at night. With regard to flood, my home was built in 1977, and at that time I have an engineer's statement showing my house on the deed, certifying that I'm not in a flood zone, because it was required by my mortgage company at the time. Since all this building has taken place, I've watched diagonally across, somebody has put in thousands of loads of dirt next to the state highway department. Now you're talking about building what I thought he said was an 80 by 120 foot building, if that's correct, I'm not sure exactly, raising that out of the floodplain. Well, all this building has generated a change in floodplain, and now my house is considered zone AE, which is one of the worst flood zones there is, and at a cost, an annual cost in the thousands of dollars for flood insurance. So I have quite a few concerns. Additionally, when traffic backs up on 65 because of an accident, everybody uses 480C, Charles Hamilton, Preston South. There's been anywhere from 2 hours to 7 hours at a time that we cannot go in and out of our driveways because traffic is backed up. Congestion's only gonna get worse as we grow, whether it be residential or commercial. And I think at some point, yes, we hear that word comprehensive plan. It may very well be a business that they would allow, but just because it's the comprehensive plan doesn't mean it's a good fit for the neighborhood. And I would ask that you consider that carefully, because you know, if I need an ambulance or a fire truck when all this congestion's going on from accidents on 65, and I got a 2-hour, 7-hour wait, what are my chances of getting those services? Probably none. So I please ask you to consider that, you know, and if you're going to allow this type of business, then they need to adhere strictly to the guidelines of what's spelled out by planning and zoning. There shouldn't be any variances or concessions given. They should have to follow instructions to the letter to protect the residents.
Question for you, that, you said 5815, what was that on that?
It was under section 5.801, and I believe I forwarded copies to Mr. Hibbert and Mr. Whitaker of that. You should
Okay.
have it. This was given to me by planning and zoning.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much.
All
We
right,
appreciate
thank
it.
you so much.
Thank you.
Email that to me.
Apologize, I forgot you,
Yeah,
Mr. Chairman.
here's the ordinance.
You got it? Yeah.
I did, this isn't, what I'm about to say now does not pertain to this property. But Ms. Saylor brought up the point of, trucks coming in and out of the warehouse. There was an easement between, the, Awesome Flea Market and the warehouse. That there was an easement out front that the warehouse would maintain, and that would give access to the, I'm gonna call it the east side of the warehouse. Further down the street, down 480, she says trucks will go by her house down to 480 and go in the second entrance.
Correct.
Well, in the ordinance that was passed in '07, it specifically said as part of that, as a restriction on that, one part said the entrance from Highway 480C will be restricted to employees only with no semi-trailer or other commercial traffic permitted, along with some other things. And if there's nothing there to prevent the larger trucks from coming in, possibly we can get with the warehouse. All they'd have to do is put something with a, say, a 9 or 10-foot clearance that would keep trucks out, but would allow everything else, you know, to come in. And I don't think that would be something that would be cost prohibitive to put up.
No, that's along with that,
Myself.
you mentioned the fence. The fence was, the quality of the fence was on
Right.
that side.
There was about a 4.5 foot, she said there's a 4.5 foot berm will be constructed on the west and south sides of the property. And I think according to this map, on the west side, there was a lot of vacant property, grassy area, not homes. There was a pretty good distance between where the warehouse, where they would paved, what was paved there, and the west boundary of that piece of property. So they may have that there, you know, or they may not, but if not, it has there. The only thing, and maybe Ms. Saylor can mention something here, this is the, when they did the deed transfer, this is in your paper, well, I can pass this around. But that's the shape of the property that was sold. And they've got a bunch of little things coming out here when they're talking about things being so far back from the southern boundary. Well, it looks to me like there's about 3 or 4 different parcels there of what might be considered southern boundary. You've seen this, okay? So all these little outcroppings here, I don't know if it applies from there or from back in here. So that would be something that, you know, I think we just have to look at and see. But this was done in '07, so it's been a while. I don't know if that ever started out in compliance or not.
I remember when that took place.
Yeah.
So I think really to conclude on that, there, again, we mentioned about follow-up with developments, making sure things get done the right way, and then after, commitments after it's developed. Like in your case, you had mentioned that to me as well. So
Yeah.
Mike, we need to go back and revisit
Right.
what's going on there, but again, everybody has the information. Please make an opportunity to go back and look at it, review it, because we obviously want to make a good decision for Shepherdsville. Okay, so make sure you look at everything. Appreciate Clinton and you guys coming out here. Thank you for your presentation, and we appreciate the comments from you all as well. Thank you all very much for that.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. All right, with that, moving on, we have our next, which is the 0230008.
Yes, this is an ordinance amending the Bullock County City zoning order and the Bullock County City zoning map as amended as follows. It rezones approximately .3879 acres more or less located at Fourth Avenue in the city of Shepherdsville, Bullock County, Kentucky, from R3 residential multifamily lower density to B1 highway business, and it provides for repeal of inconsistent laws, severability of provisions, and an effective date upon passage and publication.
All right, there are actually three pieces to this. We have the other two ordinances, if you read this information. Yeah, it's all around it. John, are you here for this as well? For all three? Okay.
They're all the same.
Yep. So you want to go ahead and read the other two?
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and
Yeah,
get
might
that
as
done.
well. All right, ordinance 0239-009 is an ordinance amending the Bullock County City zoning order and the Bullock County City zoning map as amended as follows. It rezones approximately .41 acres more or less located at 475 Old Preston Highway South in the city of Shepherdsville, Bullock County, Kentucky, from B2 central business to B1 highway business. And it provides for repeal of inconsistent laws, severability of provisions, and an effective date upon passage and publication. And ordinance 023-010 is an ordinance amending the Bullock County City zoning order and the Bullock County City zoning map as amended as follows. It rezones approximately .5306 acres more or less located at Old Preston Highway South in the city of Shepherdsville, Bullock County, Kentucky, from R3 residential multifamily lower density to B1 highway business, and it provides for repeal of inconsistent laws, severability of provisions, and an effective date upon passage and publication.
Yeah. So obviously, you got your diagram here, it shows you that property. Looks like it's just adjoining all together. Whatever I get about that, that's correct, right? You guys have any questions?
I think it's all, is it all owned by the same person?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Tony's, it's Tony's property. No, believe me, it's all, they just connecting them all to make sure they're all zoned the same.
Is there a reason why he's wanting to change his zoning from,
Yeah. Tony Cox owns that whole quadrant. There's probably 11 or 12 lots. And currently, he is grandfathered in to operate his body shop. Now, the current zoning regulations, which we've had for some time, he needs to have that in a B1. And the question you ask is, why would he change it since he's legal to operate? It's simple. Mr. Cox is nearing the age of retirement. At least
Oh,
he
yeah.
wants to retire. And if he does, I gave you that little map. What's in yellow is what we're gonna end up with as a tract that would be the B2, or B1. And that tract would possibly be sold to another entity, or he actually has an employee that wants to purchase it. That would continue just as it is. But if you go to the bank and you want to borrow money and you do a title, you'll find that the property zoning is not what it should be for a bank to make a loan. So while he is okay with it, when he deals it out to another person, they would have an issue as far as trying to bring it into compliance. So the whole purpose is to really separate and make three parcels. The residence that is currently there, which is on Fourth Avenue, the other building that sits in front of it that used to be a video, it was everything, those are gonna remain as they are. The other properties would be merged into one tract, and that would be the tract that would be sold and would be the body shop proper. Again, the only thing that is incorrect, he will have to put a 6-foot fence across the back from Fourth Avenue to Third Avenue upon the rezoning, because those properties will be zoned residential. His property there will have a residential tract. He'll have to buffer his own property, but that's his problem, not yours.
Right.
That's the way the laws are. There won't be any difference in the site after the zoning as before, because there's no reason to change the look of it. At some point, the gravel parking lot that is to the north probably will be paved over. Right now, it's gravel, and it will remain gravel for the short term.
Okay.
He's had these properties for multi-years. Actually owns the building across the road. It used to be the old body shop. And these properties were built up out of the floodplain years ago, but as of right now, some of it's probably marginal again because of the updating of the flood maps.
Right.
Questions?
Any questions for anybody else?
We good? Again, if you want to, I think I would always tell you to go look at it.
Yeah.
Give you an idea of what we're looking at, but I appreciate it. I think this one's not a real challenging thing because of that area. I don't know what was gonna be developed in that area to start with, so I think, and I understand the loan situation as well. So, any other questions for anybody? No? John, thank you again.
Thank you, Council.
Appreciate you being here. Oh, does anybody here in the audience want to speak on behalf on the other side of this development here? Is there anybody here? All right. I appreciate it. Thank you. All right. So we're done with our readings today, tonight, I should say. All right, well, I do want to make a couple of comments here. This kind of goes a little bit to what's going on here. In our next couple of meetings, we're going to be talking about code enforcement. We have a lot of opportunity in what we do there, how it's actually laid out. So we think there's opportunity in when things get developed, but not only that, but if you look at the city and how we're actually going to revise our code enforcement to put more enforcement to the properties that need attention, that dilapidated property, houses, and those type of things. So some of this is going to help with also monitoring what's going on in our city and our development. So keep all that in mind. And obviously, just encouraging everybody to know, as we get started with the park plans, we'll be talking more about the money invested, the $30 million. So you're gonna see more of that as we move along here. Sign-in speakers. I wanna make sure for everybody on sign-in speakers, first of all, 3 minutes is the limit, but we also wanna make sure it's about the agenda. You know, we wanna have these meetings short and concise for everybody to be here. The key in all this is it about the agenda? Then please speak up. I know that I see Perry and Laura on there. And to be honest with you, I'll give you a couple minutes, just quickly, if you want to give us an update on the white flag. But I really want to make sure that, obviously, we want to discuss the agenda items. But if you guys will, you want to do separately, you both want to come and talk to us? Okay, come on up. Oh, she's going to talk about something different?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
nice.
signed in about the K count.
Okay.
So my name's Laura Cook. My address is 6504 Route Road in Fisherville. I volunteered about 2 weeks ago with Volunteers of America to perform the K count for Bullitt County. As we were recruiting volunteers, a lot of people didn't know what the K count was and what the importance of it was, so I just wanted to do a quick 2-minute quick and dirty what the K count is.
Okay.
And I have the preliminary results that were submitted to the state. The K count is something that is a point in time count, 24 hours overnight. It is required by HUD every other year. The Kentucky Housing Corporation chooses to do it every year just to get more accurate information. It has to be done the last 10 days of January, and for Bullitt County it was on January 25th. The purpose of the count is to get the information to HUD of how funds will be available to the counties to help with homelessness, and it also addresses other areas. The way the information is collected is an interview style. So we go out into the community and we interview unsheltered individuals. So these would be people in camps, people in cars, anybody that is kind of out in the wild on their own. And then we also interview sheltered people. So that would be people in transitional housing or in our White Flag shelter. The way that the survey goes is we're checking age, health questions, physical health, mental health. We're also counting children. We're looking to see kind of what the demographic of the homeless is. Preliminary results were up from last year. This year we counted 95 individuals in Bullitt County. That is everywhere, including Mount Washington, Hillview, Shepherdsville, the entire county we surveyed. This is up from 63 individuals last year, and we also had an increase. Last year we only counted 1 veteran, and this year we had 3 veterans. So just want people to know that this is information that's available, causes funding to be available that the county can ask for. So just kind of a public service to let people know what we've done.
Have you made this presentation to the county fiscal court? Have you made this presentation to fiscal court
No,
yet?
I actually just got the numbers from Jennifer Frost of Volunteers of America yesterday.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Absolutely. Any questions?
Right. Any questions? Right. Thank you, Ms. Laura. Right.
Yeah, my wife does stuff on her own too. My name's Perry Cook, 6503 or 6504 Route Road, Fisherville. Just wanted to give a quick update with the shelter. We've been having about 14 to 18 a night. We've surpassed how many were with us last year. Again, 20% women, 2 veterans that are staying with us at the shelter. Right now, it's a 6 to 8 month wait with VOA to help veterans, and so we're trying very hard to get help for these homeless veterans in our community. Last week, I did speak to Hillview. We have the full support of their city for our programming and our ministry. My question tonight, I just want to give you a quick update, but just my question tonight, I've been talking to Mike Miller. He says that he's, I guess, no longer really doing the homeless thing. He had told me that there's not a committee anymore. I just wanted to kind of get an idea, as we move forward, what is going to be the best way for me to talk to the city, to inform the city of our activities, the homelessness issue from just, again, what my wife did with VOA, and what we're seeing. We've got a 300% increase last year in calls and need. I was just on a phone before I got here with a couple who got evicted today, and they're looking for a place to go. She works at the 5-star right up here off the highway with no place to go. She's going to be with us at the shelter tonight as we try to figure out how to find some housing. I just didn't know what's the best way for me to communicate with the city going forward.
That would be through me.
Okay.
But right now, that obviously, I still have Bonnie and Jennifer that we're gonna be working together. We're gonna we have obviously a lot of things going on. We're gonna probably have our first meeting within the next couple of weeks to get us set up that. If you just reach out to me in about a week or so, I'll give you an idea of what we're doing. Just keep communicating. I don't know the exact date for the White Flag Shelter. I mean, obviously, we can't have weather like we're having now. That's crazy weather. But we know that at least till about mid-March, it's gonna be that way. Then I wanna kinda make sure that we're making that transition into moving away from that. But I think that there's opportunity. We need to look at a place in the city or in the county. Yeah, I mean, I think that we should be looking at the county as well to find a location that we can not only have for transitional thing, but also for maybe the White Flag moving forward.
Yeah.
So let's do that. Give me a couple weeks and you can reach out to me. You got my number, I got yours.
Yeah.
And we'll keep you posted on things.
Yeah, sounds good. All right,
Appreciate it. Thank you very much for coming in. All right. Yeah, I have a John, I can't even pronounce it, Woodley? Is there John in? All right, I don't see that individual. Then I have a Warren Ashley as well. No, I don't see them there as well. All right, that is it on the speakers then. All right. All right. Planning and zoning, I know nobody's here. Board of Adjustments, I know he's up front. How you doing, sir? You are that guy.
We had several cases where we had one Shepherdville, and that applicant was Shepherdville, Water Farm, Lane.
Yep.
Very end for station 2. Yeah.
Okay.
Station 2.
Okay.
Cool. And if y'all want to come on our meeting, we'll have second Thursday of every month,
What is that?
6 o'clock.
What's that?
The Board of Governors meet for the city of Shepherdville and the county.
Yep.
It's the second Thursday of each month at 6 o'clock.
Second Thursday.
Thank y'all very much.
All right, thank you.
We're at.
Thank you.
Where's your
Over.
meeting at?
The annex building, 3rd floor.
Okay.
6 o'clock.
All right, thank you, Dwayne. All right, so department reports, I see you back there, Mr. Chief Lane Troutman. What you got?
Just real quick, the city was notified that we received a grant on 80,
We couldn't hear you.
Can't hear you.
Yeah.
Come up here.
Come on up.
I can't hear you.
See, if you were loud like me, it would work.
The AC's running, we can't hear over it.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Want to get you on a camera.
Right. We received a grant from the State Fire Commission. We received a new AED through them. We haven't got it yet. It's on back order, but we'll be receiving it free of charge. And as he was saying, we now have the variant for the building at Station 2. We're building a garage to house supplies and training props. It was paid through a grant also from the state. So it should be starting next month.
Yeah, I just know we have the building that's downtown, and, you know, I wanna keep looking at that, cause there's some opportunity. We're not sure what we wanna do, and I know you've got some storage over there, but I wanna keep talking to you about that. But I do wanna tell you this, your fire department was awesome Saturday. You had about 7 of them out there working with the kids, and it was a blast.
Yeah.
And if you've seen it, if you haven't been out there, you gotta come out Saturday morning, it's at 9 o'clock, just come out and watch the kids, okay? They get a chance to come out and do something in there. My wife was telling me a story about one girl, we were actually lifting, I'm not sure who was there, but we were lifting this one girl to let her put the ball in the basket. Found out that she just recovered from what, liver, what was it? Yeah, I'm not gonna make you cry, honey. Yeah, so she was not doing a lot, she was very quiet, but she seemed like, you know, and her mother had told us about that. So it's really nice to see these kids get out and do things, and we're really excited about that. Kids seem to love it, so we're gonna extend it for a little longer for them, but it was great to see them. I know that, police chief back there he's gonna bring his folks in next week. So, hey, thank you, Lane, appreciate it.
Lane, thank you
All right.
so much.
Yep,
All right, you're
awesome
welcome.
stuff, awesome stuff, good group. Police chief, you wanna come up and say hey to us?
You gotta follow Lane.
Yeah, what you got?
Well, we don't have anything we're buying with grants, but just we're continuing on with some things, trying to be more efficient with the people we have and how we send them out to places. I don't know if this is gonna steal anybody's thunder, but I'll address real briefly the problems we've had at Cedar Grove Elementary with the traffic problems. It was pointed out by several people up here. We've tried several different things. We've gone down there, we've talked to the highway department. They were kind of at a loss with what we have, how we could improve it down there. We've gone down there, our school resource officer went and talked to the principal, the school staff. We were able to change a little bit of how they do things and add probably about another 15 or 20 parking spots, which helps a little bit. But everybody who's looked at the problem, we've put an officer out there trying to direct traffic. There's just not a really good solution right there with the way it's set up, because no matter what we do, you're basically trying to put 150 cars into about 30 parking spots. So it doesn't work out. We've tried to stop traffic when the officer's down there. He gets that going, and then he's running up here to try to get the other side that's now doing the same thing. And obviously, it's worse in the afternoon and the morning, because when they're dropping off, they're in and out. Where the real problems are in the afternoon is because everybody has to park, and that's when it really backs up. We've looked at it, we tried that, it helped a little bit. The first day, actually the second day it started, we had one accident during the school traffic time, had another accident in the afternoon, but we think that was probably a DUI that took off. So we are looking at some things. Myself and Major Alton been out there and looked at it. We've sent a thing back out to the highway department about possibly trying to put detour signs up. A lot of people to try to go through what we call the industrial park, or back there either to get on 65 with the 114, or to just go around through Gordon Food Services, which could alleviate some of it. But right now they're trying to look about the signage. One thing we did talk to them about, this was supposed to have taken place last summer when school was out, but because of everything else, COVID and supply chains, this is when they got the equipment to do it. I would hope that we have a little more conversation with everybody out there leading up to one, because we're gonna have to do it on the other side of the road, and that definitely needs to be done in the summer when school's out. So we are aware of it. There's just not a good solution. We're trying different things to see what we can come up with, and that's about it.
What's that? No, I wanted actually 3 things. First of all, I want to tell you, I appreciate you being more in the neighborhoods. I know that I've talked to some people, and we're trying to get our presence out to make sure that we're actually going through each of the neighborhoods and looking at, you know, what we see as issues as far as the speeding down through there, and obviously some of the criminal activity. We're trying to make sure we're working on that. We know we're working on it, and I appreciate that you did that. Also, too, you know, I think there's some concerns with Bullitt Central and still the traffic there getting across. So we really need to look at, until we come up with I know we've got some solutions out there, some developments that might create us another signal light there somewhere real close. That might help us a little bit. But I tell you right now, I think that's got to be a focus. And I know you guys are working on a number of things, but I would really like to encourage, at least in the mornings, to make sure you look at that. that's really been an issue. But listen, I appreciate what you're doing. I know you've said change, and you're doing a lot of challenges out there, but I appreciate it from you and your staff. So, thank you. And, one last thing I was gonna tell you. So they're working on grants too. It's just a process right now, you guys are gonna be the same process. Appreciate what Lane has done as far as the grants, but I think right now there's an opportunity for you guys, and some of your folks are working on that, so hopefully there's some good opportunity there.
We've got that working too.
Yep.
And I would like to take this opportunity to publicly thank Chief Troutman, with their drones. They've come out to help us.
Yeah.
I think at least twice in the last week with people that took off Iran or the stuff that went on over the weekend. It's definitely a force multiplier. You know, we don't have to spend the money on that. They're out there within minutes where obviously they can get out there quicker than if we had to have to call somebody in. So I just wanted to thank you because they really helped us, and we've talked about doing some training together. And that was one of the things I said when I got here was I wanted to build some more partnerships. You know, there's no use reinventing the wheel. A lot of people hear me say that, and this is just an example of the partnerships we're working on. So we're gonna continue to try to do that, so.
No, I appreciate it. Great tool. It's a great
Good
tool.
teamwork.
Yep.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Chief. We appreciate it.
Question?
Yeah, oh.
Yes.
She raised her hand.
Okay.
Turn your thing on.
Sorry. Now you can hear me. The left turn, are we doing any policing there?
Yes.
Because even coming here today, 2 cars, one coming out turning left, one coming from this way to turn in. It's getting crazy. And I was just wondering, when are we, I've never seen police presence there.
I've seen them pull over 2 people
Yeah,
so far.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I've seen them pull over some people. The thing
It's
is,
crazy.
It's probably always been there. I don't think it's getting crazier. I've stopped 3, Major Alton. We've got some of the officers now putting out courtesy citations.
Yeah.
I view it as a process. It's something new. This is getting people the idea of, hey, we're not supposed to do it. We're trying to do a new pattern. You know, we're just stopping. I've told the officers, all we're gonna do right now is we just wanna let people know. There's gotta be something permanent there, some more signage. Even after that, I'd much prefer just warnings.
Yeah,
You know, I
I'm
don't
fine with
want
that.
anybody to gets a $200 ticket in this economy for making that turn.
Yeah.
So it's just gonna be a slow process of trying to convince people. But here's the thing, look, you know, we've got running red lights, we've got speeding, people still do it. We're not gonna stop everybody.
No.
Right.
But eventually, the majority of people are gonna try to find an alternate thing. The people that aren't gonna change their mind, you know, eventually fate will catch up with them, and they're gonna be in a wreck, it's gonna be their fault, they're gonna be paying for 2 cars. So if it's that important to make a left turn to show that they're not gonna be told what to do, it'll eventually cost them. So the majority of people are doing a better job at it. Right now, we just wanna slowly change the behavior.
Okay, thank you.
I got a question. So are most of those people that have been pulled over, are they from this area or are they from out of town? And just don't know how to get out of there?
That's been my experience, they're not from here.
Okay.
Well, then we need better signage saying 65 this way or.
well, that's in the work. I was going to say, we just talked to Tom. We're looking at, as soon as we get our signs, like the no left-hand turn there, right there at that intersection, you can cite. You can cite, and again, it's a behavior, right? We're trying to change it. We've reduced it immensely. There's not as many people doing that as it was when it was natural. So it does take a little time to change it. When you start writing more citations, we've also talked about having a police car there, just turn the blue light on. Everybody will follow the law when they see the blue light.
Oh, yeah.
So there are things like that we're working. Obviously, we're trying to be a neighborhood, so there's kind of a balancing, but I know you guys, they have stops at people, Jennifer, so we'll get there. But I appreciate it, just to keep
Thank
focus
you.
on it. Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, so Tom, you're back there. You can kind of add lib to this thing. Come on, come on.
Don't be
Come on
happy,
up here.
Tom.
I'll help him paint black to get rid of that white line.
I'm gonna call
So
the chief.
Tom, did y'all mess me yet?
You have no idea.
I bet, cause I told
I
him.
got paperwork stacked that high and ain't been filed yet.
Tom, good to see you. So kind of adding to that thing about signs, we were just talking about that today.
Yeah, actually, I got an email probably about 4:30 today. That sign should be ready by the end of day tomorrow. So we will have it up for sure by the end of the week.
Yeah, one of the things we talked about with this is that we were trying to give another sign next to the I-65 sign as you go towards the signal light to know that you needed to be in that outer lane of the 2 left lanes to get off the interstate, to get on the interstate. There's some work there. We've talked to the State Department. They've kind of given us kind of like, well, you can't do that, you can't do that. haven't given us any real solutions yet, but we're gonna keep
Yeah,
working on it.
signage is tricky, which everybody probably knows, because we're not sign professionals, we're not streetlight professionals. The majority, well, probably everybody here lives here. We know where to go, so we're not looking at it as an out-of-towner would. Totally different to somebody that's getting off the interstate, looking for a quick bite, maybe gas. So,
Okay.
it's not as easy as we think.
Takes a little time, though.
That's
Anything
right.
else? We've got obviously some work. We've
Yeah, one thing real important to let everybody know is this is a major pothole season. Unfortunately, we have a season.
have a season.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're right in the middle of it. Okay. So, but patch is really difficult to get this time of year, and back to the whole supply chain, it's even harder than ever. But we have secured some, and we'll be probably out within the next week patching. Some of our worst are Industrial Park, for example. A lot of complaints coming from Industrial Park. Unfortunately, there's not a lot we can do until we get that product.
Yeah.
And also, we are working with Flynn Brothers to get some pricing to go through there and basically go through the entire park. And
Yeah, we're still partnership with them right now, right? So
that's right.
we wanna lean on that partnership. to see
with
if
those folks on that, and it's a win-win for us, because at some point, probably the very near future,
It'll be
it's
ours.
not gonna be a 50-50 split, it's gonna be our baby.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Well, I'm
it's gonna
excited.
be a little pricey.
Yep,
so.
I'm getting excited. We're gonna start working on the Taco Bell side.
Absolutely, yeah, so hopefully this week we can get started on that, if not first of next week, for sure.
You guys
Trying
haven't
to
seen
get
it.
that cleaned up.
Yeah, you've seen the windy side. We're
So-
now tackling the other side, and it's gonna be a challenge. It's
Yeah.
a slope.
Right.
It's a, Tom and I walked it again today, and
Yeah.
it's gonna be a challenge, and then it's about maintaining it. It is a state right-of-way, but obviously they haven't really cared about that. We're trying to build a partnership with them in a different way. We're trying to get some of these things done because obviously they haven't.
That's right.
But hopefully we can get them done to keep the appearance good. We talked to a lot of these travelers coming in. We want them to at least get a good shot of how things are. The windy side looks excellent, especially from the Taco Bell side. I mean, when you're standing on that side, looking on that side, it looks really good. It gives us a much better appearance. And so it's about maintaining it afterwards. I know we got that, some of the projects we've been working on. So we'll keep it going. But thank you,
And we're
Tom.
really hoping that the state, so that everybody knows, is gonna show us a little love going forward. We're doing these things that they should be doing, so hopefully they're gonna show us a little love and
Hopefully.
We'll
do
know
some
Wednesday.
things for us and help us maintain some things. What's that?
I love you for fixing that sign.
Hey, I'll fix them as long as I know about them, so every chance we get.
Tom, I appreciate it, man. We got a lot of good stuff going on.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
I've got,
Hey, Tom?
I've got a couple calls about potholes. Do you want me to email those to you?
You know, if you can email them, if you can send them to Jessica up
I'll
front.
send them to Jessica.
Because what happens, I'm on a piece of equipment, I'm out doing something, I get a phone call, I get three, you know,
And you
it's
forget,
difficult for me, and I'm gonna forget one, I promise.
Okay,
So
I'll
if I get an
remind you.
email, a text, or Jessica gets it, puts it in our system,
Okay.
it doesn't get overlooked.
Yeah,
all right, thank you.
Faith, one thing on that too, when we get ready to change our website out, and we have it where you can just send all that information, we have a City Works now, which can be utilized for some of this, right, from code enforcement standpoint,
Right,
you can use it.
and we actually have report a pothole on there.
That's what I'm saying.
And it works, so.
I would suggest really, I mean, you can call the office up front, but I
Yeah.
would encourage them to try to go to, you know, some people can't, somebody just needs to make.
That's
a
right,
phone.
yeah.
They'll just make the phone calls.
Yeah,
send
yeah,
them all out.
emails are great, so.
Justin does
And when you send it to report a pothole, I'll get that,
Okay.
so.
Okay.
Tom, appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Arthur, do you want to throw a 2 cents in on the sewer? Would you like to give us a couple words of wisdom? Just a couple. I didn't ask for a lot of words, just a couple. Just a couple, Arthur. You good?
Going great.
All right, things are going great. Thumbs up and everything. We're good. Brenda, would you like to add anything to,
Things
All right.
are going great.
all right, things are going great. That's good from those departments. All right. All right, council comments. I'll start, let's go with Bonnie. Bonnie, glad you're back.
Thank you.
We missed your last meeting.
Thank you. I did want to mention on Wendy's down there, it looks beautiful. I don't think it's ever looked that good ever. So I appreciate taking care of that, because we all know the state procrastinates everything about 20 years, so. I do want to mention on the school zones, you'd have to talk to Lisa Carter, but she worked on, for a long time, on some signage that is, Okay, I lost the word.
Supposed to light up or something? Is
Yeah,
that
for
right,
the
Lisa?
sun, what is it? Solar.
Solar.
I lost the word there for a minute. But she had looked into that for the school zones and stuff, a solar light, so that it comes on, it flashes and everything. She has the prices and everything,
Yeah.
so we ought to get with her.
Okay. I can tell you that with because of some of the development there and because of with the close proximity of the light there at the overpass, we have an option for another light.
That's good.
By Roby's. But I think there and on the 44 side towards the two schools, we should have the same kind of crosswalk. I mean, where it
Right.
shows up, same
And
thing
that's what
there.
those were for, was to make the driver slow down.
Okay.
And I wanna say that so far with working with the new council, we're doing really good. We're not fighting about anything. We have had some disagreement, but we're all willing to work through it, and it's working really good, and I appreciate that. I think that, we're gonna get some things rocking and rolling here finally. And that's all I got.
Thank you, Ms. Bond. Look at Brad.
Just had one thing that actually dovetails into the Bullitt Central crossing. I'd reached out to the state asking about those motion-activated crosswalk signs. And I think it was the Public Information Office that reached out. And they gave me some information I didn't actually know. It was news to me, but their requirement for those are, first and foremost, those have to be 100% ADA compliant crosswalks, which means they have to be properly ramped with the rumble strips and all that.
Yep.
Even if you have those have to be 24-hour access crossing points, which means students have to use those 24 hours. That's why you see them around universities and colleges, because they have research facilities and libraries and things like that. So even if they were 100% ADA compliant, we're still not in what they call a 24-hour use zone. We've basically got 2 times of the day where we use them. So other than using crossing guards and manual control devices, that's basically the solution that was given to me.
And signal lights are the same way. So they don't put a thing like this, they have to cap the traffic to make sure it works for us at that time. Can't imagine 44 not meeting those requirements. But there are some restrictions on it too. But we have a meeting on Wednesday with the state. Arthur, that meeting is obviously an opportunity for us to talk about some of these things, because obviously we're putting our olive branch first with cleaning up these areas. We'll make sure we drive them by Wendy's, make sure they see that. Would you like to, are you getting ready to add something to that?
Yeah, when it comes to the coordination with the state, we've already reached out to permitting so we can make sure that moving forward, we can get those permits on a more of a consistent basis. They've had a lot of turnover at the state in the last couple of years. So as you can imagine, both dealing with the state highway department and EPA when it comes to our division of water contacts, it makes things difficult because things keep turning over. We're talking to new people. But what we did was pull them in right as soon as they got started within the first few weeks of their employment to say, hey, these are the things that are coming along. These are the issues that we've got, and these are the projects that are coming at you. And because of that, what happened was their boss's boss's boss now said, hey, that was a really great idea. Maybe we should do this more often. I think what we're going to do is do this every time we get new councils and mayors coming into the office like this. I was like, what a grand idea. So you guys kind of started something here, and that's a good thing. So now they're going through and looking at other counties to be able to do that sort of same, hey, we're both on the same team here. How do we work together to get things done? Because we have some people that are eager and motivated. And so that's working to our advantage, and that's going to be helpful for us. So not only we're doing on the permitting side, but also on the project side. And that's what Wednesday is going to be, is the planners that are working on the state level, trying to make sure that we get the projects built to the point where we can then roll that into the 6-year plan for the state. So it's not one of those, hey, there is a project out there. No, here is the project, here's the project profile, and as a matter of fact, here's the reps that are pushing it, so that you've got the backing and the profiles to be able to put everything into place instead of just the pie in the sky, there's a project somewhere.
Yeah, and we've already had about a half a dozen meetings with folks from different parts of the state already. We've done a lot with these folks to get them down there. We want to make sure that Shepherdville's on the list a lot. I can bring up Blue Lick, if we could talk about that all day, right, Arthur? Yeah, so we've got that to work on, but I appreciate it, Brad. Thank you very much. Ms. Jennifer?
I don't really have anything, but thank you all for coming. Thanks to everyone for coming. Oh, but Chris, thank you for bringing that up. Yes, that's gonna be a wonderful event. Thank you.
Yep.
Yes.
We'll be there.
Yes.
just wanna, I'm along with Bonnie, I'm glad that we're all getting along, and we can go to the mayor and voice our opinion.
I don't get mad too often.
And he don't get mad, he hasn't got mad yet. But also, I wanna say thank you to everybody coming and all the employees for giving 100% all the time. Thank you. I'm choked up.
All right, choked up, all right. Mike, what you got?
Come on, you can't get choked up now.
I don't know, I can't believe it.
I just want to, I know this officer, didn't ask for any recognition. He may shy away from it, but I want Chief Smith to know that, the other night, my wife and I were volunteering at the White Flag, and there was a, gentleman who walked up at about 11 o'clock at night, wanted to come in. Well, that's kind of against the policy. Well, the policy is that they can, but they have to have a police escort, or something that said they just got off work, if they were working someplace. And so I called, he was standing there with nothing but sweatpants, a t-shirt, and a thin fleece lined coat. And you know what the temperatures are at that time of night. And I think he was kind of under the influence of something, don't know just what. But it figured he was better off being inside than out in the public, you know, in that condition. So we called non-emergency dispatch, and Officer McIntosh showed up. And he was very professional. He looked at this gentleman, he made sure that he was, did him an evaluation, make sure he wasn't a problem, make sure he wasn't armed, had anything, you know, any kind of a weapon on him. And we were able then to get him in, out of the cold, out of the weather, and all he wanted to do was have a place to sleep. And that was accomplished. And as we've witnessed, as many as 15, 18 people in there during the night, that's more than there's ever been before. And even, I think you all know Charlie downtown. Charlie comes in now, eats dinner, cleans up what he can, spends the night. So he's out of the weather from the outside. He'll be going back sooner or later, but for now, you know, it's an improvement. But I did want to give recognition to Officer McIntosh for his professionalism. He's a young man. He said he came to us from the Sheriff's Department, and he had worked in Louisville also. And I think he is a fine addition to our force. And not to run or demean anyone else, but if they're all as good as him, I think we're in great shape. So thank you, Chief. Appreciate it.
I'll pass it on to him, make him aware of it.
Thank you. Don't tell him I told you that. That's all.
He's
Thanks,
probably
Mike.
watching.
Miss Paula?
You think?
Oh, well. The people of Shepherdsville, they elected me to do a job, and I take all the citizens, their questions and their concerns, I take it very seriously. I love my job, and I just look forward to just talking to people and just being able to help them. That's it. So thanks for coming.
Are we good? All right. We're done, right? I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Second, is Mike. Faith is first. Faith, I think you were first about like 10 times today. That's good.
Well, it's true, I know,
That's gonna give you a gold star for that.
Well,
Well, hey, listen, thank you all for being here. You know, we feel like there's, so we can't get a vote on that, right? I need a roll call, please.
Ms.
Oh.
Gomez?
Yes.
Ms. Mangus?
Yes.
Ms. Portman?
Yes.
Ms. Enlow?
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mr. Hibbert?
Yes.
I figured he was gonna say no.
Well, listen, thank you all for being here.
I could've.
We've got a lot more to do, but we have a good
I'm
evening.
aggravating you, Mike.
So like on these.
That's all right. It runs off of me like that. Water off a duck's back.
Yes. Hi there. Nice to meet
The opportunity to meet you, but I just wanted to say, one of the reasons I'm a stickler about fencing and commercial and residential
Yes, ma'am.
properties, this is the current fencing around Park 480, which is just behind my house.
That's what I was coming to ask.